Brandon Ellingson and 6 buddies were out for a party-filled reunion on the Lake of the Ozarks. But shortly after they left a local bar and grill, the fun came to a crushing end.
Brandon knew that he had done wrong because he'd had a drink and he was underage. He did not feel like he was inebriated, according to his friends.
But Brandon is pulled over by Trooper Anthony Piercy for boating while intoxicated.
Never in our minds were we expecting the situation that had happened, so.
Brandon's friends and family tell our Andrea Isom that it all began when Brandon is handcuffed with his hands behind his back. Then the trooper slips a life vest over him without looping his arms through. A short time later, his parents get the call no one ever wants to hear.
How did you find out what happened?
My husband called me. I was out to dinner, and he was in shock because he just said to me, "Sherry, Brandon's dead."
They soon learned the trooper was heading back to shore when the boat hit a wake, throwing Brandon overboard. The life vest is over his cuffed arms, but it's of no use. It slips right off. He sinks toward the bottom of the lake. Brandon kicks and fights to keep his head above water, but loses his battle and drowns.
I can't go to sleep at night thinking that he thought he was going to die and drown that day.
Since that terrible day, Brandon's family believes there has been a cover-up to protect Trooper Piercy. Now, many discrepancies have surfaced with allegations of a conspiracy within the Missouri State Highway and Water Patrol.
I've never seen anything like this. It's just unbelievable that they would act this way. Most of the command staff, if not all of them, have kids.
Sergeant Randy Henry used to work this same beat, and in fact was Trooper Piercy's supervisor at one time. He bravely came forward, risking his job to expose what he calls a cover-up in Brandon's death.
We killed Brandon Ellingson.
The alleged lies covering up the travesty of Brandon's death start with this radio call from Piercy to another officer saying that he was driving the patrol boat at a safe speed.
I wasn't going real fast because it was real choppy. I'm guessing 15, 20 that. Yeah.
But the patrol boat GPS tells a different story. Data reveals he hit speeds of up to 46 miles an hour while Brandon was in custody. And the reason Piercy was speeding? Sergeant Henry says he thinks it's because the more tickets a trooper writes, the better it looks on his record.
I think this is all about Tony Piercy trying to make a name for himself so he can get promoted. He told me he wanted to be in a position to take my place when I retired to be a sergeant so he can, make himself a sergeant before he retires for his retirement pay.
As the boat sped along, Piercy admits they hit a wake. Brandon goes overboard. But when the trooper radios in, he says Brandon may have jumped.
I can't say 100% for sure if he did it on purpose or if it was the wake.
But Sergeant Henry says physical evidence on Brandon's body shows he hit hard surfaces inside the boat, suggesting he was thrown forward, then ejected over the right side of the boat.
Brandon, he had bruising on his neck area.
Yeah.
They tried saying in the coroner's inquest that was caused by the needle marks. They tried getting blood. The only problem with that is dead people don't bruise.
And when Brandon hit the water, his life vest slipped off. With hands cuffed behind him, he didn't stand a chance.
You're completely submissive to me.
I'm trapped in here.
You're trapped.
There's no way in the world I can get out.
As soon as you hit the water, life jacket comes up.
Girls at a bachelorette party on a nearby barge witnessed the whole event, reportedly pleading with Piercy to jump in and save Brandon. Sergeant Henry says those girls on the party boat said the trooper waited more than 4 minutes before jumping in to help.
They were stunned, and they watched Brandon Ellingson drown. They witnessed Brandon Ellingson take his last breath of air.
His last words were, "Oh my God." That was his last words, and the girls in the party barge boat said that.
Knowing that he didn't try to save your son's life.
He didn't try to save my son's life. Who does that? Who does that?
But what exactly Piercy was thinking or doing when Brandon was literally dying before his eyes is shrouded in mystery, because the camera cards installed to capture activity on the boat are gone.
Those SD cards that should have been in the cameras to show the truth without a shadow of a doubt.
Yeah.
Where do you think they are?
The bottom of the lake.
And tragically, the bottom of the lake is where Brandon was abandoned. Our Columbia, Missouri affiliate KMIZ uncovered this sonar photo where you can actually see his lifeless body 80 feet down. Moments later, you can hear Piercy complain the incident left him worn out.
Sore from treading water with the bastard, but I just was spit. Damn, I thought I just ran a marathon.
Even more shocking, troopers reportedly told Brandon's friends he would be held overnight in jail and they could get him in the morning. Brandon had already been dead 4 hours, and Missouri Highway and Water Patrol decided not to retrieve his body until the next day. Then, an audio recording reveals they callously joke about it over the radio.
Dad is 7 times as pissed off that we're not going to die tonight.
Yeah, well.
And I wanted to tell him he's not going to be any more dead in the morning than he is right now.
Sergeant Randy Henry says he was disgusted by what he heard. As Piercy's immediate supervisor, he interviews the cop after Brandon's death, grilling him about why he didn't use the proper type of life jacket that would have held Brandon afloat.
His words were he had a brain fart, that he just grabbed the first the life jacket he could get, because he wanted to get out of there.
When Sergeant Henry takes his concerns to his supervisors, he says they tried to muzzle him and didn't even write a report.
I upset a lot of people in Highway Patrol, a lot. I mean, my name is, I'm public enemy number 1 with the Highway Patrol. That's fine. You know, if I really don't care.
The case eventually goes to court, but amazingly, Piercy is given a slap on the wrist, just a 5-day suspension. Sergeant Henry was transferred 90 miles away and says he was forced into early retirement. He claims punishment for being a whistleblower and calling attention to problems with the merger of Missouri's Highway and Water Patrol, a cost-cutting measure that allegedly put inexperienced troopers like Piercy on the water.
So if you can drive a car, you can drive a boat, and they didn't take it seriously.
But someone did take it seriously. A special prosecutor has now charged Piercy with involuntary manslaughter in the first degree, accusing the trooper of recklessly causing the death and taking an unjustifiable risk. A Class C felony that could mean 7 years in prison for Piercy. He's pleaded not guilty.
What would be justice for Brandon?
Well, you know, I'm not going to get Brandon back in my lifetime. But I think, you know, Piercy needs to go to jail for what he did. And the people that were covering this up need to be reprimanded or lose their jobs. And the system needs to change.
Piercy's trial is yet to get underway as the Ellingson family suffers searing pain over their senseless loss. Brandon would have celebrated his 23rd birthday yesterday.
Brandon wanted to get married, have children. He wanted 4 kids. So that'll be tough, you know. So, you know, his sister's gonna probably get married someday, and he won't be there for that. So, but stuff like that.
Does it hurt even more knowing that the kind of young man you raised would never do to somebody what somebody did to him?
My son would have given up his life to rescue him. Anyone, a stranger.
And to your baby Brandon, you say what?
Miss you.